It was a hot and quiet Friday afternoon in Abuja when Adara arrived at her new apartment. She had just gotten a job at a growing law firm in the city, and she felt both excited and nervous. This was her first time living alone, far away from her family in Enugu. The building was simple, just 2 floors, painted cream with brown windows, located in a peaceful area in Bwari. There were flower pots near the entrance, and tall mango trees stood beside the fence, offering shade and a soft breeze. Adara pulled her last suitcase into the compound, wiped sweat from her forehead, and looked around. The place was calm, maybe even too calm for someone used to the loud and busy life of Lagos. Her apartment was on the ground floor. It had 2 small bedrooms, a modest kitchen, a small living room, and a front veranda. It wasn't luxurious, but it was comfortable and clean. She smiled to herself. This was a fresh start. As she settled in, she began to notice the presence of someone living upstairs. She'd often heard footsteps above her head, soft music playing in the evenings, and the smell of food being cooked. The person would leave very early in the morning and return late at night. Though curious, she never managed to see them. One bright Saturday morning, fate brought them face to face. Adora stepped out to throw away her trash when she collided with a tall man walking down the stairs. Her bag of groceries fell, and plantain chips scattered across the ground. "Ah, I'm so sorry," the man said quickly, bending down to help her pick them up. He was tall, had short dreadlocks, kind eyes, and wore a black t-shirt with colored paint marks. "No problem," Adora said, smiling shyly. "I wasn't looking. I'm Chuka," he introduced himself. "I live upstairs." "Adora, I just moved in, downstairs." They both laughed awkwardly, then nodded politely before going their separate ways. But from that day, things began to shift. They started running into each other more frequently, at the compound gate, near the water tank, and sometimes at the local mini-mart. Chuka worked from home as a digital animator and graphic artist. He created short animated films, brand designs, and sometimes did online teaching. Adora would often return home from work and see him sitting on his veranda, sketching and humming to himself. One evening, as the sun began to set and the air turned cooler, Adora walked up the stairs with a smile. "Hey," she said, "what are you working on today?" Chuka looked up, a bit surprised but happy. He handed her his sketchpad. "It's a story about 2 neighbors who keep missing each other. They live so close, but never seem to talk." Adara laughed. "Sounds familiar. That's us, right?" That night, they talked for hours. They sat on the stairs, laughing about silly things, sharing their favorite songs, childhood memories, and even painful stories about past relationships. Adora talked about law school and the pressure of living up to family expectations. Chuka shared his dreams of producing an animated film that would premiere at a major festival. As the weeks passed, their bond grew stronger. Adora would leave banana bread and cupcakes outside Chuka's door, and Chuka would return the favor by making her iced coffee or leaving sweet sketches for her. Their friendship became a beautiful part of their daily lives. But there was something unspoken beneath the surface, a feeling they were both too afraid to admit. One rainy evening, as thunder rumbled in the distance, Adara and Chuka sat on the veranda watching the water drip from the rooftop. "I sometimes wonder," Adara said quietly, "what would happen if we didn't live in the same house? Would we still be this close?" Chuka looked thoughtful. "Maybe, maybe not. But I like that we are. I like having you close." Adora smiled, her heart fluttering, but the fear of losing their friendship held her back. Then, one afternoon, Chuka came downstairs looking excited but also unsure. "I got an offer," he said. "A big studio in South Africa wants me to work with them on a full-length animation project. I'll be gone for a year." Adora's heart sank. She forced a smile. "Wow, that's amazing. I'm happy for you." They both stood silently, the air filled with things they wanted to say but couldn't. After that, things changed. They stopped meeting as often. Chuka stayed indoors, working late nights, and Adora buried herself in her job. On the night before his flight, there was a heavy rainstorm. Power was out. Adora sat in darkness, unable to sleep. She thought about everything: The late-night talks, the laughter, the little gifts. Then, with shaky hands, she walked to his door and knocked softly. Chuka opened the door, surprised but smiling. "I didn't want you to leave without saying goodbye," Adara said, almost in a whisper. Chuka looked at her closely. "I didn't want to go without telling you this. I love you, Adara. I think I've loved you for a while now." Tears filled her eyes. "I love you too, Chuka. I just didn't know how to say it." They held each other, not saying more, just listening to the rain and the silence of their hearts finally speaking. While Chuka was in South Africa, they stayed connected. They had long video calls, shared jokes, watched the same movies at the same time, and kept each other strong. Chuka sent her short animations that reminded her of their story. Adara sent in voice notes, little surprises, and photos of the compound and her everyday life. One day, Adara received a small brown box. Inside was a USB stick. When she opened the file, it was an animation, their story, from the day they met to the moment they confessed their feelings. At the end, a message appeared. "Coming back home. Will you be waiting?" She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She didn't need to answer. Her heart already did. On a warm Sunday morning, Adara stood in the compound, holding a bowl of jollof rice. She heard a familiar voice behind her. It was Chuka, holding flowers and smiling. She screamed and ran into his arms, laughing and crying at the same time. That moment, everything felt complete. From that day forward, they were always together. They cooked, danced, shared stories, and worked on creative projects together. One peaceful evening, while they were sitting on the veranda, Chuka held her hand and asked, "What if I move into your apartment permanently?" Adara laughed, "Only if you ask me with a ring." Months later, during a small gathering in their compound with neighbors, friends, and the cheerful gateman watching, Chuka got down on one knee. He held out a small silver ring, designed with tiny stair steps. "To the girl who made this house a home, will you marry me?" Adara nodded, tears falling again. "Yes, yes, I will." Everyone cheered. It was the happiest day of their lives. And so, the tenant upstairs became the man she would love forever, her friend, her neighbor, her future. I hope you enjoyed this story. What do you think about the story? Kindly share and subscribe.